I'm DJ Psyched, and you're watching the Get Psyched YouTube channel. Let's get psyched about YouTube. Hey, welcome to the Get Psyched YouTube channel. If you are here strictly for the advice on syringe feeding, I'm going to have a little time card right here for you to jump to, but I did want to talk a little bit about Sybil and how I got her to this point to know that she needed to be syringe fed, so if you're looking for advice on that kind of topic, I would watch the intro. This is Sybil. This is what the video is going to be about. Sybil, she is my smallest Leo. I have 3. I've been keeping Leos for about 2 years now. She came from the reptile rescue Be Wild, and when I got her, I knew she had MBD. It was very visible on her. They told me all about it. I got her vet records, and so I knew that there might be some health complications with her, but when I got her, she was in really good shape. She was eating, and she was starting to get better, gaining more weight, and looking really good. That's when I got really excited. I posted a lot about her, and how she had gotten all the way up to 30 grams and she looked really filled out. She was very lively and she was my best hunter because my Gecko, that is the largest on hill, he just got kind of lazy with hunting. And Fleur, she's decent at hunting, but she likes being tongue fed. But Sybil just absolutely refused tongue feeding for the longest time. She just loves to hunt her insects. And so it kind of was difficult to see her start to refuse food the way she did recently. And she seemed lethargic, really didn't have as much energy, and the only time it seemed that she came out was to go to the bathroom. And I didn't even see her come out to go to the bathroom, but I would find her waste in the home after I I woke up, looked at her terrarium, saw it, so I knew she got out for that, but I hardly ever saw her leave, so I assumed that was the only time she ever left her hide. Because of this strange behavior, I decided to take her to the vet, and it's not conclusive as to what she has, so I'm trying to be optimistic about her care, but she does need to be syringe fed from now on because she's not taking food on her own. So my advice to you, if you're noticing similar things in your Gecko, is to go to a vet, because from what I was told, it could be a lot of things. It could be something potentially really dangerous. It could be something mild that you can take care of. It really depends on your Gecko, and that's why you need a vet to tell you. I'm being very hopeful for mine that she's not having anything more severely wrong with her. She's on 1 medication daily, and she gets tongue fed twice a day. So I have to do this 3 times a day with her, which is how I've gotten a little bit better at this and why I want to make a video for people who are struggling with it, because my first time, I was very nervous to tongue feed her. I've actually had to give her medication in the past because she had a hard time going to the bathroom at one point, and this has been something that I've done a couple of times now, so I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it. I've also had my vet show me how to do it because I was just a little nervous, so I asked if she could do the first dose for me. She was super cool, and she helped me with that process. So I want to share a little information online for people who maybe don't have the resource to go to the vet or just, forgot to maybe ask their vet how to do it, so they just want some more advice from someone online. I'm also going to say that this video is for leopard geckos that are having a hard time with syringe feeding because my Gecko does not make it simple for me. You could, open their mouths by just gently massaging, right here. They have kind of that shape, their mouth goes very far back. What you can do is you put your fingers right at the front and you gently massage backwards, applying a little pressure, but don't hurt them, just a little pressure. Go back, kind of somewhat makes it tickle or whatever, and it'll often make them open their mouth. That is the simple way, because then you just give them the medicine and they eat it. My Gecko does not do that, and there are a lot of geckos that will refuse opening their mouth because they know something's coming and they don't want it. So my method is going to be something for your leopard gecko if they're being difficult. And how I'm doing this video is I'm just going to talk about it and have the footage in the background of me doing it because I've done it a bunch lately. This is just the easiest way because I don't want to jeopardize her health or safety by trying to talk while I'm doing it. So anyways, let's get to it. How do I syringe feed my Leo? Well, the first thing I want to say and mention real quick is that if you're getting your own syringes, if you don't get them from the vet themselves, make sure when you buy them, whether online or in store, that you make sure that they're the correct size. So a lot of the times with leopard geckos, it's going to be those little milliliter ones. I'll show you what mine looks like. And if you're unfamiliar with the metric cc, because I wasn't at first too, 1 cc is the same thing as 1 milliliter. After the size is correct, you also want to make sure that they're sterile, and individually packaged is the best option for sterilization. That way you open one, use it, toss it, move on to the next one. I'll leave a link below to Amazon as to where I got mine. The original ones that I have, the ones I have in this video, the blue ones, sadly aren't sold on Amazon anymore. I went back to the link to my buy again and it's just not there. So I purchased some new ones again recently because she needs more anyways, and I'll put those in the description. And if they're any good, I'll also make sure to put next to it what my review is for those. So after you've got your syringes and you have all that ready, you'll need to hold your Gecko when you do this. And I know that might sound obvious, but just so people know, it's definitely unlikely that you would be able to syringe feed your Gecko without holding them because they're going to wiggle around, they're going to squirm a lot. Before you do this, be comfortable handling your gecko. Make sure you are comfortable with that. There are the basics procedures of not, squeezing them too hard. Be very gentle. Don't touch their tail too much. Don't make them feel alarmed. Just make sure you feel comfortable holding your gecko, because you're going to need that to syringe feed your leopard gecko. And when you do it, what I prefer to do is to use my less dominant hand to hold my gecko and my dominant hand to feed, because it can be difficult sometimes to get that food directly in the right place for her to want to lick it off. So I use my non-dominant hand to hold my gecko, my dominant hand for the syringe. And now when you're doing this, like I said, there's that one way where you do it where you hold your gecko and you massage gently with one hand until they open, and then use that hand to syringe feed your gecko. If your gecko's not doing that, what I like to do is simply let them lick it off. If you've ever had any kind of issue with your gecko's digestive and had to put a little bit of they say you put a little bit of olive oil on their nose and it helps them go. That's exactly what you do with the medicine. You just put a little bit on their nose, and what they'll do is they'll just lick it off. They'll lick it and lick it. But you got to be really patient with this method, because sometimes your gecko can be stubborn and refuse to open their mouth even after you've done it. Sometimes what I do in those cases are you either just kind of move it, like maybe they'll be more likely to lick it off the top of their nose, so put it on the top. Sometimes she likes to lick it off the bottom. So I just kind of move it gently until she gets the hint, like, okay, I gotta eat this, and then she'll lick it up. Or sometimes I just respect the fact that she doesn't want my hand near her because it becomes overwhelming. So I'll literally just hold her and then put my other hand away as the food rests on her mouth, and she'll like chill out and then lick it off. I think she sometimes prefers that. Like, I just put a little on her nose and then take that other hand away so that she knows that, like, okay, she's done for now. I could just lick this off. But on the other side of that, if I put it up to her mouth and she automatically starts licking, then I just keep gently pushing out the syringe so that she can continue to lick more and more. That's really it. That's most of the method. But when you're holding, I do have some tips. When you're holding, my doctor says to hold behind the jaw gently. Just have your fingers there. Because if you just hold their body, they're going to head control you. They're going to move their head a bunch, and you're not going to be able to get it anywhere near their mouth. And if they try to swiggle out, they'll have an easier chance just busting out your hand and running away. But if you get a little bit of that neck control, they will be a little bit calmer and just have an easier time for both of you. Speaking of which, if your gecko starts like wiggling a whole bunch to get out of your hand, my best advice is, if they're not wiggling too hard, like if they're wiggling extremely hard and they're just like really in distress, maybe they need some time to calm down before you go back to them. Try not to overstress your gecko. Again, if they're really, really being difficult, I would go to the vet to talk to them about it. But sometimes my Leo, she'll just wiggle a bit because, it's a little annoying. Like, this giant person's holding you and trying to feed you. But what I do is I just keep my hand still. I don't panic. I just hold on to her. I let her wiggle until she's tired, and then she slows down again and goes back to eating. She's never gotten hurt. It's not putting her in danger. I just want her to calmly, realize that she's okay. She's not in danger. If I were to start freaking out, moving my hand a bunch, I think she would freak out more and get out. So just be calm, hold on, a firm but gentle grip. I know that sounds weird, but that's the best way I can describe it. Just keep a firm but gentle grip. So you're not squeezing them, but you're letting them just kind of realize they're okay, they're not in danger, and then they'll slow down. And my last tip is that really think about the fluid that's in your hand. This is something that I made a mistake with the first time I did it. I feed her baby food right now as her feeding, because the stuff that I really need to feed her, the vet has told me is on back order and I can't get a hold of it right now. So she's eating chicken baby food. That stuff is a little thicker of a paste. So if I slowly push out that paste, it's a little more resistant, so I can put a little more force and get a little bit on her mouth. But her medicine is practically liquid. So if I do that same thing, even though it's a slight amount of force, I've had the medicine come out too fast before, and it just creates a mess, and it makes it really complicated. So I've had to learn before, make sure that you kind of test it in the tube beforehand. Just put in the amount you need and then slowly push it out in the container. That way, if you're going too hard or anything, it'll fall back in the thing and you won't lose any medicine. But just try it a couple times, because for me, at least, I'm not really the biggest syringe user. So a 1 millimeter syringe, I didn't know how to not put too much pressure on such a little thing to get so much out at a time. You got to be really gentle with 1 millimeter of fluids. So yeah, that's all I can really think of right now. It's not really that difficult of a thing, but I wanted to make a video in case anybody was unsure of what to do for their gecko and had any questions. If you do have any additional questions, please do put them in the comments below. I will read, check out, and try to help you if I can. But like I said, I'm not a vet myself, and I got my advice from a vet. So if you really, really are unsure about your gecko situation, I would consider consulting a vet. And if you have any basic questions for me, I'm definitely down to try and help. And Sybil, I hope she starts doing better soon. She looks a little bit better since she's been eating for a few days. The food seems to be filling her out a little bit. She definitely hasn't gained the weight back because it's only been a few days of this, but she looks like she's starting to be more vibrantly colored, a little bit more active. She still, winks very slowly and is a little lethargic, but I can definitely tell a positive impact from the feeding of the food and the medicine. So, do what's best for your Leo. I wish the best for you and your Leo. And until next time, stay psyched.